Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media account. Also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you've done so already. Now, I'm looking to put the call ratios at 0.82, not substantially high, but not in a mid-range. It's, high is like 1.0, mid-range is like 0.70, so it's high a little bit, but not an extreme high where it's concerning. So not really much to look at in the put the call ratio. Now, as far as the economic calendar, we get a lot going on this week. 2 more days until October's over with. Monday, 30th. Don't see any news Monday. Tuesday, we have let's see. We got some weird stuff on Tuesday. 8:30 we get employment cost index. 9 a.m. we have S&P composite 20 HPMI and HPMI. Then we have Chicago PMI at 9:45. Consumer confidence, at 10 a.m. So we get some strange numbers coming out at Halloween early in the morning. Then Wednesday we get let's see, final manufacturing, ISM manufacturing, JOLTS at 10 o'clock. Then we have FOMC at 2 o'clock. We have Powell at 2:30. And yeah, so we have FOMC with Powell this week. So it should be interesting, especially with the market down as much as it is and things going on. So we might have a surprise this week with FOMC. I don't know. I'm just speculating right now. Thursday, let's see. Unemployment claims 8:30. Friday the 3rd, non-farm employment change, average hourly earnings, unemployment rate, ISM services and services PMI at 10, 9:45 and 10. So got some things coming out. Obviously Wednesday will be the big one with FOMC. If the market keeps going down, because right now I got VIX up. VIX just rejected this weekly trend line. There's a couple trend lines going, one right up here off those wicks and one off these wicks right here coming through, and it rejected that over the this past week. So we'll have to see if it does that trend line does stay and we end up seeing a pop on SPY. SPY is pretty oversold on the daily. It's under 30, right at this major support on the daily and weekly pivot right here, the 410. I'm expecting a big bounce. A couple scenarios to think about. If we don't bounce Monday and Tuesday and we keep shooting down to 400, I think that we're going to see something FOMC that the market's going to end up raging. But if the market ends up bouncing hard at 410 and ends up bouncing to 420, 430, we could end up seeing something on Wednesday that will end up dropping the market. So basically, whatever the market does Monday and Tuesday, FOMC will probably end up doing the opposite. So if it rages Monday and Tuesday, FOMC will probably dump. If it dumps Monday and Tuesday, FOMC will probably end up raging. Now, don't go out and quote me on this. Anything can happen, but usually that's what does happen. So this is such a huge area for SPY, the daily and weekly, like I said. So I'm expecting it to bounce. I would watch it over 412 or push to 415. We could have a really strong dead cat bounce. We could end up having one of these kind of moves right here where it went from 420 to 435. So we could definitely see a $15, $20, even $30 move on SPY. So if there's a dead cat bounce and algos do jump in, so definitely keep an eye on SPY. NVIDIA I'm basically watching most of the stocks from last week now that they've changed quite a bit. NVIDIA is hanging by a thread. It gets underneath this, we'll say 400. It's going to come down to probably down to this 380 area gap supports right down here, 370, 370. And if it does manage to lose 370, it's got quite a gap to fill right there. It's do or die right here under 400 for NVIDIA. Big head and shoulders on the weekly and daily. You got the left, the head, and the right shoulder. The left, the head, and the right shoulder. So this could probably end up playing out this week. We'll have to see what happens. Tesla gap down from earnings. I tried to bounce a little bit, then it came back down. So RSI is kind of rising a little bit. It is on the hourly, so you get a bullish divergence going on as it's making lower lows. RSI is making lower highs, so we get a bullish divergence going on there. So I would watch Tesla over 210 for a push to 220. Gap support right here, gap resistance right here, 225, 230, and it gets over 230. You can see a gap fill right there up to 240, 243. So definitely keep an eye on Tesla for a bounce. Meta. One thing I'm kind of curious about Meta is a gap down on earnings right here, and it dropped on earnings and it gapped up, and it kind of filled this gap right here. So I would watch Meta underneath 290, 294 for push down to 285, and it gets underneath 285. You probably could see 280, 275. It loses 275, 270. So I'm thinking that because it dropped and came back up and filled the gap in, that we could end up seeing more downside for Meta. So that's what I'm thinking about on that. Microsoft gapped up on earnings, filled the gap, came back down. Now it's in an area where it's kind of do or die. If it gets underneath this 320, we could say 328 or 327. It's underneath 327. It's got some room to drop. I mean, get down to 325, 320, 315, 310. So definitely keep an eye on Microsoft. Netflix gapped up on earnings. Now it's coming back down. It's close to gap support. If it does manage to break 395, it could end up making a run down here and filling the gap. So if it does get below 395, 390, 380, 370, 365, 360. So it's definitely got some room to drop on Netflix. So last one, Amazon. Amazon had gapped up. We'll have to see if it actually has any continuation, but based on what's been happening, they've been filling the gaps after they have an earnings. So if the market does sell off, I'd watch underneath 126 for a gap fill to 124, 122, and 120. So keep an eye on that. That's just the only reason I'm mentioning Amazon is that because it likes to fill the gap shortly after it gaps up, and the way past week's been going, it's been filling the gap pretty quickly. So like they'll gap up this week, in a couple of days they'll fill the gap. So definitely keep an eye on Amazon to see if it will fill the gap or not. So that's going to do it for the watch list, and thanks for watching.